Welcome to News9 Mediaverse, and you are watching On Point with me. Government offices in Churachandpur and neighbouring Pherzawl witnessed thin attendance on Monday. It was a result of the ITLF's call. The state government has already declared no work, no pay for those who don't go to work. ITLF has asked the state government employees to not to attend the work from Monday, cookie-dominated area. But however, markets, schools, private establishments remained open and were not impacted. The question is, what sort of action should be taken against ITLF for abandoning and asking the people to abandon the government work? Manipur government is expected to take legal action against the ITLF. On this issue, I am joined by Churachandpur, Director Rights and Risk Analysis Group, and I am joined by Geetarani Thakalamba, Advocate, Manipur High Court, and subsequently I will be joined by General Meston. But first of all, I'll go to Mr. Chakma. Mr. Chakma, the legal action against ITLF will be taken soon. This work, no work, no pay by the government and ITLF, asking people not to go to office. I don't think it's going to have any result, because ultimately 48 hours, 72 hours, people need their salaries, people will come back to offices.
Well, I think there are a number of issues. First of all, somebody says don't go to the office unless there is some amount of force, physical force. What kind of offenses are you committing? So that's the first issue.
Okay.
Second issue is the law of diminishing returns. At certain stage, this continued movement, non-cooperation, etc., will not be effective, because people want to get back to normal situation. So, obviously people will, be forced to go to the office, everything with salary. So in the long run, how long this kind of movements can continue. And we had seen actually in 2004, when Manorama Devi was killed, initially thousands of people, lakhs of people came and protested. Then gradually it died down because people want to get back to normalcy. And the third issue is, if you don't want to pay, the question is, do you have adequate persons, who would be reporting that this person is not, has not come to duty or has come to the duty. So I think they are numbers, and it's unfortunate if you cannot find some kind of engagement, and then you are not helping to build the peace yourself. So that would be my initial, information.
Brijesh?
Well, I think, the person who's caught between the devil and the deep blue sea would be the government officers, because on one side, you will have diktat by ITLF saying that don't join the work, and they jolly well know the risk that if they defy the order, they run the risk of getting bodily harmed, they run the risk of, of physical assault, they run various risks which the government will not be able to protect them. And if they don't go to the office, they run the risk of not being paid. I think they are damned, they don't do, they are damned. And they are the one who is, I think, caught between the two sides, and they are the one who is going to be, be the victim in the entire diktat. I think the government is right, but to make sure that those people go and join office, they should provide a conducive atmosphere in which at least there is no fear of retaliation, or there is no fear of bodily harm, physical harm to me. Otherwise, how else are you going to go to office without the risk of getting thrashed?
But let me go across to Geetarani, because this issue we discussed, and Mr. Chakma was there. But then the suspension of one officer and reinstatement, and you are asking people in two districts not to go to government offices to carry out public duty. That is the important thing. To carry out the public duty. For what thing? One constable who was found getting his picture click, selfie, with armed miscreants. So the action was taken.
Yes, Kartikeya. See, the action taken and the reactions is totally disproportionate. As if, chance to create violence was waiting for. It was like full blown, like police station being burnt and public properties being destroyed, DC office, mini secretariat being ransacked. It was uncalled for, and total, collapse of rule of law could be seen on that day of 15th, I think. And it was not dismissal, it was a suspension of the police officer for investigation, as normally it happens once a officer is found to do something illegal, unethical, investigation has to be done against him. As a public officer, he has some duty which he has to, performed. And if he's found to violate some rules, investigation is investigation, and then suspension pending the investigation is a normal thing to do. So against this, such kind of actions, announcement by ITLF demanding reinstatement of the officer, and then instigating this kind of violence, and the amount of destruction which took place, death threats to SP Sivanand Survey, and then DC office being burned, his residence also being attacked. I don't know actually, Kartikeya, frankly speaking, there seems to be total collapse of rule of law in that district. So first of all, before the government, issues dictate that all the government officers or the employees should attend the office, rule of law needs to be brought back in the district of Churachandpur and Kangpokpi and the border districts before actually expecting the people like Kartikeya, Bridges has mentioned. I totally agree. The employees are the victim here now. They have to face the brunt of civil societies like ITLF, and miscreants trying to enforce the dictates of
No,
ITLF.
but there is also another thing, I thought, I will do it, raise this issue in a different forum, but you raised an important point. These civil society actors taking law in their own hand. What is ITLF? It's not a state government, it's a civil society organization, but asking government officers not to go. Now, Mizo Student Union is saying, it's being reported that they held an emergency meeting in evening, and they passed a warning saying that if the government of Manipur plans to deport Zo-ethnic groups who entered Manipur after 1961, they would, they would take steps to send all the Meiteis residing in Mizoram. I'm saying this is tyranny of civil society groups.
Exactly. We are talking about NRC, implementation of NRC, and we are talking about deportation of people who are not citizens of India. And what are the Mizo Student Union saying? The Manipuris, the Meiteis staying there, they are citizens of India. On what grounds they are going to deport? This is utterly nonsense and not implementable. It's not going to work out. This is just instigation of hatred and violence, nothing else.
Absolutely. Mr. Chakma, that's what I'm trying to say. This is, people say tyranny of the state. I'm reversing the question. This is like tyranny of the civil society organization dictating state what to do. I mean to say, to have this meeting and and to say that this will be done. This is such a.
I'm sorry to come in before the general. Just wanted to make a small point.
Okay.
No decision has been taken. I think at this point of time, it's so immature to say that certain categories of people up to certain dates should be or will be deported back. Is that the decision? Is that the decision taken by the government of Manipur? When, you are trying to bring the situation under control and you provoke in a manner that as if you are going to carry out this particular exercise without examining whether it has legal sanctity or not. Why in 1961? Why not in 1951? Why not in 26 January 1950? What should be the cut date for the NRC, etc.? And why does the government?
Okay, then let me rephrase my question to you, Mr. Chakma. What is the problem? What are the issues on which you think it can be objected to?
See, I think first of all, I think it immediately creates fear because something comes from the Biren Singh government. People belonging to the Joe and Mizo community, they believe that it's targeted towards them. I don't think it's the right time to speak on all these issues, even on the issue of actions taken against that, the constable who took the selfie. Let's remember, in Manipur, people have lost, 500,000 ammunitions, 5,000 sophisticated arms. No action had been taken. Now had been taken. Now you take actions with respect to selfie. When particular officer, when we had a situation, security forces had to show their identity cards to the private actors. I don't think the state in a way is trying to help the situation to come to normalcy, and that's what I'm fearful about. At certain point of time, the political leadership of the state government, they have to realize that it makes no sense to carry out or to inflame the situation any further, and it requires certain kind of statesmanship at this point of time. I mean, you have provoked enough. I mean, there is no need for all these small things which provokes, which provoke the situation this way or that way. I mean, I'm very disappointed the way, even after 8 months, you are still continuing with the same agenda.
Then, then what should one do? I mean to say, I know it's part of the Project Bunyad, this 1961 thing. Biometrics is an old project, NRC is a centre's project, CA is a centre's project. I would say as a chief minister of the party, he will implement it.
Well, if the directions are issued, is it the right time? When the biometrics were being done at that point of time, I had stated that there are thousands of people whose houses have been burned. They may not have any documentation to prove that they belong to Manipur. And that was the case with respect to the scheduled tribes in Assam. They had no documentation. If you are affected by conflicts and you lose everything, but from both sides, what documentation are you going to do? I mean, you can do biometrics after the, the situation comes to normal and etc. Nobody is running away. You can always do that. And now if the state government, if the chief minister of the state doesn't show the statesmanship,
okay,
and he provokes, then what can you have? You will exactly have this kind of vicious cycle of violence.
Okay. General Meston also joined me. General Meston, we were discussing the fact that, this diktat was given that the government employees did not come to the government offices today. They were very thin, but the private establishments, schools, colleges, other establishments worked. But in the government, they didn't come. I was saying this is like tyranny. This is tyranny of the armed civil society activists like ITLF saying, you don't go to work. Mizo Union in Aizawl meeting and saying that if the government of India policy is implemented, which is to move out the illegal immigrants, we'll ask a certain community to move out of the Mizoram. Isn't this tyranny of the civil society? Or people who in name of civil society are behaving in an uncivil way?
Karthikeyan, can you hear me?
Oh yes, absolutely, General.
Yeah, actually, a lot of earlier speakers and even your thing was getting distorted to me. So I have understood the question. Karthikeyan, let's be very, very clear that whatever issue you have raised is absolutely pertinent, and I must compliment Brijesh for giving out the actual ground realities. That means a person of either of the two communities, he is now in a fix. He has to firstly work, but beyond the work, he is a government employee, and also there is a threat from his side of the community people, and therefore his attempt is to please them, and if he does not, so his own life and property becomes endangered. These kind of issues have happened in Punjab. These kind of issues have happened in J&K. Now, if I put it more mildly, if I was a DGP police of the state, my foremost duty would be, I'm talking now on the Punjab and the J&K model also, and everyone will understood there was a DG police in Punjab, KPS Gill. The morale of the police was low, shattered that time, but his foremost duty was to revive and reintegrate the entire police authorities because they are responsible to maintain the law and order in a state. What does that imply? That the person or the police officers have to reintegrate and, revive them because their morale is very low. And therefore, all these people, irrespective of their ethnicities, communities, they have to be treated like police people. That is the part one. Now, part two is whether it is X community or Y community, if either of them, an individual employee or a group of employees, is doing any anti-state activities, obviously they have to be dealt legally by the course of law. Now, for example, I think, if I'm not wrong, few days back, there were 5 policemen of a particular community in the valley who were suspended when some arms, etc. were raided. So they were suspended. They were from one community. In this case, the person who has now been suspended is from another community. So what it comes down to is that the law, that the actions have been taken against people from either of the communities who being government employees or police officials have violated the law, and law will not take its own course of action. Anyone, when he is a government employee, cannot be, allowing people to take away the weapons, run away, and similarly, he cannot be allowing himself to be taken a selfie with illegal organizations who are anti-state. So that is point two. Now, point three is that once this kind of a scenario is happening, whether it is ITLF giving or the people from the other community who want, that the people should, the police people should start violating. I think one of the foremost duties of the state should be that these police officials of either of the two communities, which Brijesh highlighted, they need to be given some kind of a, solace that they will be protected. Their interests will be looked after because they are serving the state. They are not serving a particular community, either of the communities. So state is important, and I would put at this juncture, there are three institutions. Firstly, it is a state administration. I think the most important responsibility of the state administration is to reintegrate the people of Manipur irrespective of their communities. Number two, the police law enforcing agencies, they need to be revived, revitalized, and reintegrated into a system, because if they are clear, they will maintain the law and order. In the case of Punjab, the same Punjab police did a brilliant job. Even when I was in J&K, I saw the J&K police has been doing extremely well. They don't get, cowed down by anyone's pressure.
Okay.
Maybe one or two freak cases. So this is a very, very important point. And the third is the intelligence agencies. They are extremely important to maintain law and order situation. So irrespective, again, they have to give the correct feedback, not distorted feedback, credible feedback to the state administration and to the police. And they have to have a very good, I would say, lateral network, so that the correct people need to be sorted out, irrespective of the communities, whether he is X community or Y community.
Correct.
So that the reintegration of the people of Manipur is done as a whole. We have to carry the whole people. For the chief minister, it is not that he has to be particular looking after this community or that community and be against one community and show. I think he has to be above board with his team of administrative officials to get the people integrated. And I gave you an example in a country like Rwanda today. It is a best example. Hutus and Tutsis who fought for 500 years have been reintegrated. And today, you let's plan a visit to Rwanda. You will yourself watch how the president of that country has united the people. And today, there is no ethnicity of Hutus and Tutsis. So it is possible. We are only talking about two communities and we are dividing them further. I think the state administration has to take a lead role in this. And the police needs to be revitalized, revived, and reintegrated as one force for the interest of the law and order and the people of Manipur.
Okay. Geetarani, your thoughts on it?
I totally endorse what Major General has said. Actually, it's more than 9 months now, and this is getting on to be becoming worse and worse. The segregation of both, like the hatred between both communities is increasing day by day instead of settling down. And Kartikeya, I feel it is now a must to bring, like the arms into custody of the state, the arms which were looted and the arms which have come into through the border to Manipur, and simultaneously in the valley and the hills. This action should be taken, and I think it has to be combined force of the central and the state government. The Sioux militants, they should be, like strictly observing the conditions, terms and conditions of the Sioux agreement. They should be staying inside the camp. Their arms should be, taken in and then kept under lock and key. And in the valley also, similarly, measures should be taken to bring in the arms which are looted. And, like the village volunteer force, they should also be taken into, proper control. Now, right now, the defense of the villages are left to the village defense force. In the what is happening in the valleys, in the fringe areas, it's the village defense force which are actually defending their villages. What is the state forces doing? What is the central forces doing? It's their duty to, protect the lives and property of the people. They should take up this duty. And in the hills, like after the Sioux militants are kept inside their camps, we suspect there are people mercenaries from outside. They should be actually captured, sent back. And if there are people like villagers from outside coming in through NRC, we can actually identify later on. That is a long-term process. But right now, the crisis is instigated because of the guns. You know, the ITLF is saying all this statement because they are backed by the Sioux militants and armed militants coming from outside. That is what the allegation is. This need to be sorted out. Unless the guns in the hills and the valleys are brought into custody of the state and the central forces, if they are left to the civilians and the militants, peace will never return. These are just like fringe events happening, and it's going to happen. Every small trigger will result in this kind of violence, both in the valley and in the hills.
Okay.
So
Okay.
first and foremost thing is to bring the militants and the village defense force into the control of the state government and the central government, and bring back the guns.
I think you summed it up very well, Geetarani. You summed it up very, very well. That unless and until these arms are brought back from the hills and the plain areas, I don't think the normalcy is going to return. But I also feel that there is tyranny of these civil society actors who, in name of the civil society, they are encroaching into the authority of the state, and something really needs to be done. Whether it's whether you have organization in Mizoram or whether you have these organization in Manipur, to encroach on the sovereignty of the state is the biggest challenge for any state government, and to issue diktats to government servants not to go there, I think that's like crossing a line. Strictest action should be taken place, either it's ITLF or any other organization which interferes in the administrative working of the state, belonging to any community, it doesn't matter, but no one should be allowed to interfere into the functioning of the state. So this was all on Point. Thank you for watching the show. We'll be back with more tomorrow, same time.
From Fragile 5 to Top 5, from a laggard to a leader, India under Modi has reimagined the world order. Presenting the second edition of TV9, What India Thinks Today. Summit theme, India poised for the next big leap. Listen to Prime Minister Modi unveil his vision for Viksit Bharat at News9 Global Summit, a TV9 network initiative.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए, और कमाना है तो खरीदिए।